Hey, all, welcome into the post-game show. Yeah, what a fitting into a rough season. Colorado, fought tougher than I thought they were going to, but great performance. It was gritty. Proud of the guys the way they played, though. This was the season that is not been what we expected, not what we were used to. And again, maybe we're spoiled Colorado fans, whatever it may be, but this is not. It was just a rough ending to the season. And again, it could have been a lot worse. I was expecting a lot worse, but I'm proud of the guys the way that they competed, because that was not expecting that whatsoever. So yeah, but thanks for joining us. Welcome to the post game show. A lot of what's the right word? Yeah, a lot of oh my gosh, what am I doing here? A lot of good came out of this game, I think, right? Building for the future. So let's dive into it. Colorado falls 24-14 to Kansas State, right? We do know the issues that the Buffs were having going into this game. Still did not change whatsoever. Still kind of the same thing that we've been seeing. So let's just look at some of the stats. Colorado, Caden Salter, 14 for 25, 172 yards and a pick. Avery Johnson, 10 for 17, 115 yards. The problem was the Joe Jackson running wild. 26 carries, 142 yards, 5.5 yards a pop. 3 touchdowns. His long was only 27. It felt like more than that for some reason. I'm not sure why. But with that being said, our leading rusher, Dallin Hayden, had 15 carries for 66 yards. I thought he should have got a lot more carries. And again, I know the game dictates that, but I think, moving forward, you might have found your back, right? Moving forward at this point. So we'll see what they do with Dallin Hayden. Caden Salter, he had 15 carries as well for 63 yards, 4.2 yards. Michael Welch, 10 for 20. Draylon had 7 carries for 2 yards. Just collectively, just a good effort. I really, really do think that. Yeah, I thought Humble Tekken says, I thought it was a good game. I appreciate the effort. Yeah, there was not a lot they weren't playing for anything, right? And all the news swirling, all of these different things going on. It was tough to show, but they showed up, and I thought they put up a good fight, with all things considered. So, yeah, Hayden looked good and explosive. Yep, I thought that was he was definitely a bright spot for this team. Let's see here. Kansas State receiving, not a lot there. They only had 115 yards through the air. Amarian Miller did his thing. He had 7 receptions for 120 yards, which is expected. These are the kind of numbers he should have been putting up all season. But again, you can't blame him just because of the quarterback situation and everything that was going on there. So, again, he did a fantastic job. Defense, we didn't get a single sack. That's crazy. So total sacks, Kansas State had 3 as a team. Just 1 turnover for the Buffs. I don't think they turned over. Yeah, they didn't turn them over at all. So no turnovers for Kansas State. And again, that's one of the things we talked about. They ranked number 11 in the nation in turnover margin. So real good football team. Real good football team and not turning it over. Kansas State had a rough year as well. Finished at 500. A lot of people picked them to, be in that Big 12 title game. And again, sometimes in this NIL era of players transferring in and out, not a lot. The roster turnover is just, it's just insane a little bit. So hopefully this January portal that will be the only portal this year will help a lot, on building team chemistry and, those kind of things. So let me see. Great question here. At one point, it said, how many penalties did the Buffs finish the game with? So I know that they had 0 at one point. I was like, oh, that's wild. And my wife said not to jinx us. Where would that be at? It's not coming up for some reason. So I don't remember them having a single penalty against them. But I could be way off here. But all in all, though, just a real good game by the Buffs. I'm proud of what they were able to put out on the field today. That was not easy. With all things, like we talked about, all things considered here. It was season's been rough, and they went and put it on the line again. Geez, gosh, Tawfiq Bayard, man, you think of that dude. What a man! If you could just get 22 of those guys out there like him, right? Like to just have that same mindset to grind and just that heart and the passion that he plays with is, he was hurt. He's playing with the club on his hand. Didn't want to come out. Got hurt once, came out, got hurt again, and was trying to come back in. And sometimes you got to protect the player, right, from hurting himself, and having to put some make sure he's safe. So again, it is Tawfiq Bayard, though. My goodness, man, you are what an absolute dog. That is one the Buffs need to absolutely retain. I am blown away with the way that he was able to get after it today, because he was hurt, man. He's playing with the club on and still going in there, putting his nose in there in the run game. I mean, what a fantastic player. What a fantastic player. That is someone you build a team around. Wade had Humble Texan says, Wade had a shoestring tackle that made a difference. I thought he had a good game. Yeah, and I mean, all in all, they did, and that defense just started to wear out a little bit because the offense stalled. It's just kind of the way this season went, right? And you look at the way that game was played, right? It was in a nutshell, a microcosm of what this season was for Colorado, right? They were starting off 7-7, things were good, should have had the lead at one point. You just stretch that out through a whole season. This was who Colorado was. This game defined them a lot, right? Then it got real ugly for a little bit. Right, it got real ugly, couldn't stop the run, offense couldn't get anything moving. That's when we're talking about the quarterback change and all those different things they went through earlier in the season. But, I mean, this was a microcosm of what the season has been. I'm glad that they went out there and put out an effort. I was really expecting a blowout. And so, just really proud of those guys. Now let's just the team stats total. Let's see. First downs, Colorado had 18, Kansas State 16. Third down efficiency, 8 for 17 for the Buffs, 4 for 11 for Kansas State. Fourth down, 1 for 4 for the Buffs, 2 for 3 for Kansas State. Total yards. So CU actually outgained Kansas State 323 to 321. But I think where you really need to look at it, though, is rushing, right? Buffs gave up 206 rushing yards. Again, you're not going to win a lot of games giving up 200 yards. Buffs had 151, passing 172, Kansas State 115. So you're not going to win. You're not going to win a lot of games doing that. Chad Bolton asks, what was the point of putting Staub in for 2 plays? I have no idea. I don't know what that was about. I thought maybe he was going to take over, and it was 2 running plays. So I really do not know what the point of that was. And again, it just goes back to there's no rhyme or reason with this offense. They do a lot of things that has you scratching your head. And again, it is just why he went in there. I have no idea. It just 2 plays, then he was out. So it made no sense to me. It made absolute 0 sense to me what they were doing. They're maybe just trying to give him some playing time in the last game of the season. I really don't know, but I couldn't tell you what their reasoning there was. It just didn't seem like the smartest thing to do there. So let's talk about, I went over some keys to the game yesterday. Let's go over some of those. So my first key, where were we at? Keys to the game. With Caden starting, run the ball. KSU gives up Kansas State gives up 171.2 yards per game on the ground, ranks number 91. Buffs fell short of that. I believe is at 151. They average yards per rush was 3.2 yards per rush. Again, weren't able to do that, right? Read option needs to be a thing. It worked for a little bit there. O-line had some plays where they didn't block as well, missed a couple assignment. Get Welch running downhill. Micah Welch, his dive over the top was pretty cool on the goal line. But the one that got running downhill was Dallin Hayden. And, man, that dude just needs more carries. He finds the hole and goes and sniffs it out. And, man, he gets through there quick too. So I wish Dallin Hayden wouldn't have got hurt at the end of summer camp there heading into the season. He missed the first couple games. Who knows what would have happened, but that dude can, flat out ball. So real happy with what we've seen from Dallin Hayden as well. Stop the run. Kansas State averages 170.7 yards per game on the ground, run at 53% of the time. Obviously, we weren't able to stop them. They went over their average. They now average 200. They got over 200 yards, 206 to be more specific. That's not a winning recipe. So whatever it is that they plan there, did not work. They average 194 yards in the air, which, Colorado held them in check there, right? They only threw for 115, but at the same time, though, they ran the ball 43 times versus passing it 17 times. So, right, there's 60 times. So, out of the 60 plays, 43 were running plays. And again, I don't fault them for that. You're right. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, team, until you can stop the run. Teams are just going to continue running it down your throat. So, again, just something to something to look at there, something just to follow. But this team has a lot of work to do this offseason. Next one was the last one was don't turn the ball over. Now, they did a pretty good job of that. Now, that one that Caden threw, it was more like a punt, as much as we don't like the way that he just threw it up there, but it was a punt that was 3rd and long. They were going to have to punt the next play. I didn't mind that as much, if that makes sense. They did not, force a turnover, turned it over once, but essentially they were going to punt the next play. They threw it deep enough. But again, it does still kill some momentum there, right? So, yeah. Let me see. What was here's this. Chad Bolton says, why throw if the run game is on? Yeah, no reason to. If, my game plan going to play the Buffs would be, honestly, we're going to run the football every single play until they stop us. We will throw when we get in those, 3rd and longs if we get there. But, again, I would not throw the football against Colorado. This defense, they have struggled all year long. And the crappy part was, I think their passing numbers aren't great for, Colorado, but I think their numbers look better than they are, defending the pass, because teams don't throw it as much on them. So it's kind of like I don't want to call it a balancing effect, but a different, like, one takes from the other, right? So, because, what was it? He was 10 for 17 today, like we talked about. Avery Johnson, right? Like, yeah, but how much of that was, and when he did throw it on the 3rd and 15, they converted, right? So that's kind of what I'm saying. They don't have to throw the football against the Buffs, but who knows how good that pass defense was all year long, in those places where they would need a stop, they would not get them when we knew that they were going to be running when we knew they were going to be passing it. Colorado could not get a stop there. But yeah, this was just a tough season all around. The Buffs, they struggled, no doubt about that at all. Kind of curious to see what Prime has to say after the game. Kind of waiting for that press conference. I don't know, probably started already would be my assumption here. But that is basically what happened this year. Just a tough year, this game, microcosm of it. Now, moving forward, right? I know this game almost felt like, let's just get it over with. Let's move on to the offseason, right? Moving forward, what does Colorado have to do? I mean, right, we talked about the players they need to retain, right? Julian Lewis, Jordan Seaton, Omarion Miller. Start there, and then, kind of work your way out. But those are the 3 that have to be, I don't want to call retained, but kept there in the program, right? Those are the building blocks. Quarterback is extremely important, but you need someone to block. So whatever one you think is more important, great. I think they're both important, right? Obviously, if I could pick one, gosh, that's tough. I'm taking the quarterback, just because without a quarterback, you don't, there's not a lot you can do there. So, and just the talent, I guess, that Julian Lewis brings to the team. He is just, man, I can't wait for him to get a full season and a full off season under his belt. But again, I want, all 3 of those players back. That's my hope. Will it happen? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know what the cards hold for them. And I don't know what the cards hold for this team. I do expect a lot to enter the portal. That's just my gut feeling. And right, it's going to look, national media is going to cover it. They look at every single thing that Coach Prime does as, all right, this is bad. How do we spin this? How do we spin it, right? Because you're going to see a lot of players leave. And again, my viewpoint on it is that if you have so many, if this team wasn't good, why would you retain a ton of the players on it, right? There are building blocks, right? You start with those 3, you move on to McPherson, and then London Merritt, right? I'd put London Merritt in the first tier. That dude is an absolute dog. He next year he's going to have a big year. He is going to be the anchor of that defense. You imagine him and Tawfiq and then McPherson on the other side. Real excited to see his growth heading into next season. I know we're in, when is December 1st, right? A couple days from now, right? We have 8 months to talk about this. And we'll, and I'm sure we will. We have the transfer portal coming up January 2nd. Probably this week and the following week, right? Moving forward after this weekend, we're going to hear a lot of names that are going to be entering the portal, right? It already kind of started. And as far as, buffs, but other teams as well. We're going to start hearing a lot of big names in the portal. I am interested to see what other names, from other schools enter the portal, right? You're interested to see what happens with Lane Kiffin and then who he takes with him if he does in fact leave. I'm not sure if he's announced that yet. Hopefully he has. Right, it does have that ability. He's going to LSU. So just kind of curious to see who he takes with him from Ole Miss, right? But yeah, it's just going to be a fun offseason. December 3rd, early National Signing Day. So that is next. Gosh, I need to look at the calendar, but I want to say that's next this coming Wednesday, if I'm correct there. So that's something to pay attention to. Prime in his press conference earlier this week, feels like weeks ago, earlier this week, said they have about 5 to 8 guys that they think that that are going to sign. So we'll see if that. I don't know if he meant early National Signing Day or just National Signing Day that's in February. So we'll see the class that they come up with. We'll see any news that came out. And again, next week we will be here. I will be here on Monday to talk about it. Just a game review and kind of what to make sense of. And then Friday we will jump into a season wrap-up. As to this Buffs team, I did find the number. Let me pull this up real quick. There is 118 missed tackles this season. I got this. So if you guys have not, follow my guy. His name's Miles. He's at App Miles High Buffs. I'm not sure if you've seen him on X before, but he brings tons of good content to tons of good statistics, numbers, all these things. That is where I got them from. I'm going to post this for you guys so you guys can give him a follow. But man, he does a great job with the X's and O's, and the plan is to try to get him on here next week on Friday, just to help with the season recap, right? To get a different perspective and kind of what he thinks. So in the chat, I posted his X. Go give him a follow because this dude is fantastic. Covers the Buffs, all the different statistics, PFF. But what he did say is 118 tackles on the year, missed tackles. Byard and Hodge led with 12. 9 players have 6 or more, and French had the highest at 25%. So those are big numbers. Big numbers for missed tackles. You're never going to win a lot of games with that many missed tackles. But at the same time, they have a ton of work to do. Linebacker especially, right? Linebacker and defensive line, right? Those are the two spots this Buffs team needs to improve. A corner wouldn't, I do hope DJ McKinney comes back. Not sure what his plan was. Don't know what his plan is. But I think he needs to rebuild his draft stock at this point, right? So we'll see what happens there. But this defensive line and linebacking crew, right? Defense needs to be fixed, I should say, in whole. I would start at the linebacker position, but we'll see what the future holds for this Colorado team. This offseason is, like we talked about, this is the biggest offseason of Coach Prime's tenure here at Colorado. It's one of those make or break off seasons, right? We go into year 4. I think that is a fair time to judge a college football coach, years 4 and 5. So we're entering into year 4 now. Those guys he recruited when he first got here, right out of high school, those young kids, right? They're going to be, junior, senior, somewhere around there, right? And that's your foundation you build upon. So we will see. We'll see what this next week holds. We'll see what comes out. If there's any staff changes, including the recruiting staff. But it is going to be an interesting offseason and an extremely, extremely important one for Coach Prime and this Colorado football program. So, but on Monday we'll be here 5:30. As always, we'll talk a little bit more, review the game a little bit more, get a little bit more numbers, stats, and if anything happens over the weekend or Monday, we'll bring that to the show, talk about it. Would love to get your guys' opinions on it. Friday, we're going to do a season wrap up. We'll have our guy Miles on here to talk about. And again, this is where you guys can find him at on X. Make sure you guys, make sure you guys give him a follow. He has tons of good stats that he throws out. So give him a follow. He'll be on with us next Friday, or this coming Friday, I should say. And, I really do appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure, you retweet this. If you're watching on X, like it, whatever platform it is. Make sure to follow me on X at Manny_303, IG at 303_Manny. This is going to be a one hell of an off season that we're in for. And then any one of your major podcast platforms, you could catch us. It'll be Colorado at the Voice of College Football. And we'll talk next week. But, I really do appreciate you guys. This has been a fun season, first season doing this. And hopefully the show continues to grow and grow. We'll be here. I'll be here all off season. We'll be talking about it. Seasons come to an end. It sucks. Oh, yeah, look, Humble Texan says, sad to see the season come to an end. Thanks for being great content all season. Catch you next show. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. You have no idea. It's you get better and better as you move, the more shows you do. So, just real grateful that I'm able to bring this content and whatever I know or hear about to you guys. And again, just reach out, make sure you guys hit the follow or the subscribe button and the like button. If you're on YouTube, that is essentially where the revenue comes from. So really do appreciate each and every single one of you. We will catch you on Monday at 5:30. And as always, like Heisman Trophy winning Travis Hunter said, Skol Buffs, baby. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will catch you Monday. And again, thanks for the fantastic season. Really do appreciate each and every one of you.